Hello everyone. I Assistant Professor Pragati Shetty from Department of Microbiology, KJ Somaya College. In this online lecture, we will study about the infection caused by the Aspergillus. So, as we know, Aspergillus is a type of the fungi, right? Now, first we will study about its classification and its morphology, right? Then, if we look into the history in the late back, there are more than 100 species of the aspergillosis, which means aspergillus species are present. Okay, and among that 100, few of them can act as the human pathogen. Aspergillus infections are very harmful and very dangerous infections. They can cause very severe damage to the lungs and the respiratory parts, respiratory units. Okay, so we have various names of the species of the aspergillus, such as Aspergillus fumigatus, Aspergillus niger, Aspergillus flavus, Aspergillus terras, and the Aspergillus nidulans. These are the species of the Aspergillus. Okay, various genera of the Aspergillus species. In the last online lecture, we have studied the candidiasis, right, which is a albicans infection because it is caused by the Candida albicans. In this lecture, unlike the last one, in this lecture it can call as non-albicans infection because it is caused by a species of the fungi which is the non-albicans, right? And that is why the infection can also be called as the non-albicans infection. Now, if we look into the classification depending upon its family, genera, phylum, then it will come under the kingdom fungi, phylum Acetomycota, then class is the Urotiomycetes, order is the Urotiaceae, family Trichocomaceae, genus is the Aspergillus, and the species is the Fumigatus. Okay, now in this online lecture we will study about in detail for the Aspergillus fumigans species, Fumigatus. Let's start with the antigenic structure and the morphology. Now first we will study the morphology and then we will move to the antigenic structure. Now you can see in this picture there is the staining of the Aspergillus fumigatus. We can see clearly the hyphae, then the spores, right? They can cultured as the mycelial fungi because they are having the mycelia. Then separate hyphae with distinctive sporing structures, right? We can see clearly in this picture the rod shapes are called as the hyphae, all right, and with each of this having these distinctive sporing structures. Then spore bearing hyphae will include the conidiophores terminates in the swallowen cell vesicle, which is surrounded by one or more than one rows of the cells. The structure is called as the sterigmata, right? As we know, what is the sterigmata? It is a structure where the spores present in the species will be in the will be swollen by the cell vesicles surrounded by one or two rows of a cell, which is called as the sterigmata. Okay, then the sterigmata from which the chains of the asexual conidia are produced. Okay, so as we know, this also multiplies asexually, and in this asexual reproduction the sterigmata plays very important role. Okay, now we will study the antigenic properties. Now if we come to the antigenesis, now the Aspergillus fumigans has 23 allergenic proteins. That is why I have said Aspergillus causes very dangerous and very harmful infections if it will turn pathogenic. okay, then it can cause the severe infection and the spreading into the branches of the alveoli, and inside the alveoli also it can present. All right, then thermatoproteins have diversely of the function. For example, the ribotoxin, the heat shock proteins. So basically it will have the proteins which are stable at higher temperatures. Okay, most of them are like this. You can see in this picture there is a structure of the aspergillus on which the antigens are marked. Then you can see the purple color, for example IgE, that can bind to the multiple sites within a specific protein. Okay, these antigens are responsible for causing the allergies into your human body. Okay, this is the antigenic structure of the Aspergillus fumigatus. There are total 23 allergenic proteins. For example, ribotoxin and the heat shock proteins, right? After the morphology and the antigenic features, we will study the epidemiology of the aspergillosis. Now, aspergillosis occurs via the soil. Okay, the aspergillus, as we know, it is very well present in the soil. Then it can spread via the air particles, then spores, which get inhaled by the human host, okay, via the nostrils or via the mouth, oral route, and from that it get incorporated inside the respiratory tract, and from it it will reach to the lungs. Okay, then it can also transmit via the food species and the ground paper, then compost, decaying vegetation, grains and crops, fireproofing materials, bedding, pillows, carpeting, ventilation and air conditioning systems, along with the dust particles. Okay, so these are the roots, or these are the sources by which we can get this aspergillosis infection. All right, now the aspergillosis is most common in the environment and it is found worldwide. Okay, as we know, the fungus, the spreading of the fungi is very easy and is very quick, and therefore the prevalence of this infection of the aspergillosis is among the worldwide, and which is a very common throughout the world. Okay, most of the people breathe the spores which has the fungi in it, aspergillus species in it. Okay, it is impossible to completely avoid breathing in aspergillus spores because they are ubiquitous in. What does ubiquitous means? Ubiquitous means it is present, a thing which can present very common, or that can found everywhere. Okay, that is called as the ubiquitous properties. And as we know, the spores of this aspergillus are ubiquitous, means they are present almost everywhere, and therefore it is not possible to completely avoid breathing in the places where they are present, because they are almost present in each place. All right, then people with the compromised immunity has the more risk for getting these infections. Similarly, like the candidiasis, in the candidiasis also, persons with the HIV or any other immunocompromised state, or with having the metabolic disorders, that are at higher risk for getting this infections. Right, now we will see which group of the people or which type of the people get affected by this infection. Now, persons with who having the weak immune system, right, just now we discussed the HIV or any metabolic disorders, or having the disorders such as the hypertension, blood pressure, then the diabetes, or is on any malnourished person. Okay, so in that cases, or the overweight of a person, right, these factors support to increasing the risk for getting the infection of the aspergillus and the fungal infections. Basically, it will increase the risk for persons to get the fungal infections, because most of the cases we get that via the inhalation of the air particles, and as we inhale 24/7, so the chances for getting these infections are very higher. Then the person with low white blood levels, low WBC count, will also affect the susceptibility. Then lung cavities, okay, lung cavities such as the patient who previously had the tuberculosis, okay, so in that cases it will be more susceptible for getting this aspergillus infection, because this is also a lung infection, okay, this infection can reach to the lungs in the alveoli. So it will be the beneficial for the fungi, the aspergillus, if a person was previously had and lung cavity infections such as the tuberculosis, right? Then if a person is having the long term corticosteroid therapy, that can also count for the susceptibility of the infection. Then the hospital stay, okay, nosocomial way also it may spread. Most of the way, in the majorly it will spread via the environment and via the inhalation of the air particles, all right, or via the soil. Then asthma and cystic fibrosis. So here the patients with the asthma, right, has the more risk for getting this infection. As we know, in the asthma there will be the disturbance while breathing, right? It is not proper breathing for the asthmatic patient, and therefore the chances of getting that infection or the air particles into the body of that person will be at more risk, okay. Then invasive aspergillosis. Now it is a type of the aspergillosis. What is the invasive? Inside, okay, inside the blood, that is called as the invasive aspergillosis. So that can affect the people, which will come under the following categories, including the people who have had the bone marrow transplant or any surgery, solid organ transplants, okay. So in that transplants, as we know, we will transfuse the blood, okay, and therefore the other outsider entities are coming inside the host body. Therefore the invasive aspergillosis infection can be present in such patients. Second, people who are taking high doses of corticosteroids, okay, person who may have the any currently ongoing antibiotic treatment or any steroid treatment. Then people who undergo chemotherapy for the cancer treatments, okay. Then after that for cancer, and then people who have chronic granulomatous diseases, okay. Then people with advanced AIDS, leukemia patients, tuberculosis patients, okay. This type of patients or this group of people will have higher risk for getting the invasive aspergillosis infection, right? This is the epidemiology of the aspergillosis, okay. Now we will see some types of the aspergillosis or various locations of the aspergillosis. So you can see in this picture the fungal spores which can enter through the respiratory tract, okay. Now spores can be inhaled via the nose or via the mouth. After they get entered, it will bind to the trachea, it will transfer via the trachea, and then it will reach to the lymph node, okay, and then to the lung. Now you can see here there are the alveoli. Inside that alveoli also there is a cross section of the alveoli. There is also the aspergillus spores are present, right? And then you can see the blood vessels are there, okay. So like this way the aspergillus can enter and migrate into the lungs and into the alveoli, into the branches, Okay. Then what is allergic aspergillosis? Now it can, we discussed in the earlier slide, that is the antigenic properties. In that we saw among 23 antigens are present which are allergic antigens, so that will be responsible for causing the allergic aspergillosis infection. Now that can be present in the atopic individual with elevated IgE levels. Okay. 10 to 20% of asthmatics will react to the Aspergillus fumigans. Then allergic alveolitis. Alveolitis means what? Into the alveoli. Alright. Then that follows particularly heavy and repeated exposure to larger number of spores. More will be the exposure, more will be the infection. Right. Then Malster's lung, it causes the allergic alveolitis who handle barely, on which Aspergillus flavius has the sporulated during the malting process. So it is about the another genera of a species Aspergillus called as the Aspergillus clavius. Alright. Then we will see certain types of the Aspergillus disease. Okay. So in that, first one is the aspergilloma. What is the aspergilloma? In that a fungal ball will be appeared, okay, in the lung. So what will happen in the aspergilloma? Aspergilloma, here is the fungal ball will be present which will grow, okay, within the lungs, and it is usually restricted and existing lung cavities. So it is most susceptible for the people who has undergone the treatment for the tuberculosis or any lung cavity diseases. So that person will be more susceptible for the aspergilloma infection. Alright, now second one is the hemoptysis. Okay. So hemoptysis is related to the blood. Alright, it is called as the hemoptysis. The aspergilloma spores will be invade into the lungs. Then endocarditis, the inflammation of the endothelial cells. And then the invasive aspergillosis, as we have discussed, this is inside the body. Okay, just we saw the diagram where the spores are present inside the alveoli, that is called as the invasive aspergillosis. Okay. Now after that, these are the some types of the aspergillus infections, okay, depending upon the sites of the infection. Now if we look into the pathogenicity, the spore, that is the aspergillus fungi spores, fungal spores, will enter via the human nose or the throat, right, nostrils, and reaches the lungs through the trachea. Okay, so in lungs it will get multiplied and cause the suffocation in the breathing. So that will be the foremost symptom for getting this aspergillus infection. Okay, the first one, what it will do, it will suffocate, cause the suffocation for the breathing. Then when it will get severe, the ball like sputum structure will expelled from mouth or via the nose. Okay, so this is the most common characteristic where the sputum formation will be there and which will be excluded from our body via the nose or via the mouth. Okay, a ball like structure in which that species will be there, the aspergillus infection will be there. then it can able to grow in the bone marrow and the alveoli of the lungs, which we called as the invasive aspergillosis, right? It is inside the body. So this is basically the pathogenesis. It will enter via the aerosols or any environmental factors or via the soil. So it will enter, the spores will enter into the body via nose or via mouth, and from there it will reaches to the lung. In the lungs it will start multiplying and it will cause the breathing in the suffocation in the breathing. After that, when it gets severe, the infection will get severe or it will ignored or untreated, then what will happen, then the sputum formation will be present and which will exclude from our body via the nasal route or via the oral route. Okay, then it can cause the infections in the severe cases into the alveoli, which we called invasive aspergillosis, okay, or in the bone marrow. Now, what are the symptoms for this aspergillosis? So symptoms, basically most common symptoms are the fatigue. Okay, see, fatigue can signal many things. Okay, then headache, runny nose, shortness of breathing, unexplained weight loss. These are the most common symptoms of the aspergillosis. Including that, the presence of the sputum into the via the nasal liquids or the via the mouth. Okay, then that can be the symptoms. After the symptoms, what will be the laboratory diagnosis, right? How we will diagnose this disease or this infection? Now for that, first step in the laboratory diagnosis, as we know, it will be the specimen collection. Okay, so in this type of the infection, what will be the specimen? So specimen should be the sputum sample, because in the sputum sample there must be the presence of the aspergillus fumigans. We are focusing on that species. Okay, then after we collect the specimen or the samples, now we will proceed for microscopy. Now we will look into the abnormalities in that sample or the presence of the fungi. Now we can do that microscopy via wet mount method. Okay, we can check the presence of the hyphae, we can check the presence of the choroidospores, right, mycelia, that we can observe. Now the second type of the staining is can be the called as Gomori methanamine silver staining. Okay, in that the processed tissue of the lung, the processed tissue is used as a sample for this staining, and due to this staining it will give the fungal walls a grey black color, which will be very well distinguished from the other cells. Only the requirement for this staining is they will use the tissue, okay, for the specimen. Then the second or the third type of the staining we can use is the immunoperoxidase staining. Okay, it is also used in the tissue staining. Okay, it will also use the staining of the tissues, right? It will use the formalin fixed paraffin wax embedded tissues. Okay, with the Gomori-Grocott stains, and we can compare the two staining methods, the Gomori staining method and this is the immunoperoxidase method. Okay, now results of this staining, that is the immunostaining, were semi-quantitatively analyzed with regard to both intensity of the staining and the number of positively staining microorganism. As we are using immunostaining, so we can quantitate in some extent, okay, number of positively stained microorganism also, and therefore we can check the intensity of the infection, right? That this much of smear or this portion of the tissue will contain that much number of microorganisms, so we can predict that how much infection is present inside a body. Okay, then immunoperoxidase, as the name says, it will use certain antibodies, right? Then it will use the basically monoclonal antibodies, okay, and in that also the specific name for that, it is EBA1 monoclonal antibody. Okay, it will be performed on the processed tissue sections. Okay, so the antibodies or the immunity components in there in the staining are the monoclonal antibodies named as the ABA1. Okay, now the next step, now we have observed successfully the Aspergillus species via our staining methods. Okay, now we have to proceed for isolating that species, right? Now for isolation, we can grow the fungi cells very well on the Sabrod agar, right? As we know, we use the Sabrod agar basically especially for growth of fungus. Okay. Then on the Sabrod agar, the Aspergillus fumigatus species will produce the velvety colored, okay, velvety to powdery surface. As we know, Aspergillus is grown widely, it will spread throughout the plate, okay, with the furry structure, then it will produce velvety to powdery surfaces and dark green colored presence or the color. Okay. Then incubation period, we can incubate that plates for 3 to 4 days at the 25 degrees Celsius. Now the next one, we will proceed. Now we have isolated the species, right? Now we have isolated the Aspergillus fumigatus species using the Sabrod agar culturing after the incubation of 3 to 4 days. Now we have to proceed via the serological testing. What is a serological test? It will include the ELISA test or the immunoelectrophoresis or the immunodiffusion methods. As we know, in the ELISA we can use that is used to determine the antigens or the antibodies. Okay, then antibodies are detected in case of this laboratory diagnosis using the ELISA or in the immunodiffusion in the serum of a in the serum of the affected patient. Okay, then we can also do the skin test. Now what is the skin test? Skin test reactions will develop after the intradermal injection of the Aspergillus species antigens. Okay, which means if they are present inside the skin, intradermal injection of the Aspergillus species antigen, okay, and that will be the very important criteria to determine or to establish the allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis. Now, as we have discussed this earlier, the types of the aspergillus, where in the severe cases they can produce the invasive aspergillosis, right? Also the pulmonary aspergillosis. So in that cases they can present intradermal. Okay, the antigens of that will be present intradermally, and therefore we can check the skin test. We can take the skin test. Now there are two tests based on the time of the immune response. Okay, two types of the antigens that can be detected based on the immune response duration. Now first antigen will be the dual immediate antigen, that will be just after 15 minutes it will be appear after the intradermal injection, and the second Arthus type which can present after the 4 to 6 hours of the injection. Okay, then after that you can see there is the BAL test. So what is the BAL? It is basically bronchoalveolar lavage, is a medical procedure. The BAL is a medical procedure in which the bronchoscope is used. Okay, similar like the microscope, there is a bronchoscope which is a little bit very different. Okay, the bronchoscope is passed through the mouth, or it can pass via the nose, the roots from where we will get the infection. So it is passing through that ways. Okay, nose into the lungs, because the aspergillus will reach to the lungs, and then that samples were collected for examination. Okay, now this BAL or this BAL is typically performed to diagnose the lung diseases. In particularly, it is commonly used for the immunocompromised state people, or the people who had the pneumonia or some types of the lung cancer, or the tuberculosis, intestinal lung diseases. So in such cases, the BAL is used, bronchoalveolar lavage is collected for the examination. Okay, you can see here in this picture there is a bronchoscope which will enter via the nose or via the mouth, and then it will reach to the lungs, and then it will collect the sample, and then we can take that sample out of the body, right? Then we can use the x-rays and the CT scans. You can see here in the x-ray is used to diagnose, recognize the area of inflammation, okay, and the cloudiness. Now in this picture you can see there is a little bit cloudiness and the inflammation where the arrows are there, so that can indicate the presence of the inflammation. Okay, then next we can also do the CT scan. Now this CT scan or the computer tomography is also used to reveal the aspergillosis infection. In this you can see the white spots, these are the aspergillosis infection. Okay, then details which can very well recognized via the CT scans and the x-rays. So these are the most commonly used for the diagnosis, right? This is the laboratory diagnosis of the aspergillosis fumigatus infection. Okay, now what are the treatments available? So in the treatments, if the infection got revealed in a very early stage, okay, then the early antifungal doses can be started. Okay, then for primary treatment for such as the invasive aspergillosis, oral or the intravenous drugs called as the voriconazole is recommended, okay, in most of the patients. Then the LAMB is a drug, okay, which can be considered as the alternative primary therapy in some of the patient. Then for salvage therapy, agents will include, that is the drugs will include itraconazole, posaconazole, LFABS and the echinocandins, and that will include the caspofungin or the micafungin. Okay, then the combination of the drugs can also be preferred. Okay, along with that, the the immunological therapy can also be used, and in that the colony stimulating factors can be integrated. All right, the such as the interferon gamma or the granulocyte transfusions can be present, can be takes place, which will result into the decrease of the immunosuppression. See, this will increase the immunity of a person. This is a type of acquired immunity. We are now incorporating the immuno antibodies, okay, or immune cells, which will help the person for increasing its immunity, and therefore it will help to decrease the degree of immunosuppression in the patients. Okay, and then after that we can give the antifungal therapy with respect to the certain drugs that we have mentioned in the earlier slides, right? This is mostly in the cases of the invasive aspergillosis or the pulmonary aspergillosis, the severe cases. In that cases, the immunodulatory therapy is most probably preferred. This is about the treatment. So we can say we have the drugs available for this infection, and some other options are also available for treating, for curing this type of the infection. It is best if the person got suspected at a very early stage, so that the infection or the aspergillus will not spread through the lungs, okay, through the into the alveoli, into the branches, so that it will get cured in very early stages. Okay, this is the treatment. Now, how we can prevent this infection? We can prevent by the avoiding going to the some infected areas, or we should take proper measures. We should maintain the hygiene. Okay, and if a person was diagnosed or was treated with the previously tuberculosis or any immunocompromised states, then that person should be taken care most probably. Okay, that person should take more care for getting such type of infections. We should cover our face while sneezing or while expelling some fluids in the local areas, or in the areas where people are very clustered. From there, the infection chances of getting these infections are very higher. Okay, so we should avoid such places. Then we can, the hospital workers, for them also, they have the higher risk for getting these infections via the blood transfusion. Okay, then there also we should maintain some hygiene. Okay, and if the infection got detected, then that should detect in the early stages. The infection can get ignored, because the breathing, the discomfort in the breathing can be the symptom for many other infections also, right? Or any mild infections also, and therefore the infection can be go to these severe stages. Okay, so therefore these are some prevention points or the prophylaxis. In this online lecture, we have studied the structure of the Aspergillus fumigatus, morphology. We saw various species of the Aspergillus species. Okay, genera of the Aspergillus species. It is a type of fungal infection. It is a non-albicans fungal pathogen. Okay, which means it is not coming under the albicans family, albicans species, right? Albicans is the Candida albicans, that will come under the albicans pathogen or albicans infection, which will cause candidiasis, right? This will cause aspergillosis. Then we studied the antigenic allergenic antigens that may present on the aspergillus structure. Then we studied the epidemiology, okay, which groups are at the higher risk and by which routes the infection is getting spread or transmitted. Then what are the different various type of this aspergillus infections. Then we studied the pathogenicity and the transmission of these aspergillosis infections, okay. Then we studied the laboratory diagnosis. In the laboratory diagnosis, we saw various types of the tests such as the skin test, then the BAL, that is a type of collection of the sample using the bronchoscope, right? Then we saw the X-rays and the CT scan results, right? After that, we studied the treatment, what treatments or what type of antibiotics that are present, or antifungal drugs that can be used to treat this aspergillosis infection. Okay, this is the treatment. I hope you understood this online lecture. If you have any doubt regarding this, please ask in the comment section. Thank you for watching.